Every once in a while, I like to do a string of videos that honor the brave men and women who fought against slavery in the Americas. This can certainly be a difficult portion of our history to discuss, but again, I think it's an important one to remember because we're certainly the product of survivors. So today, I wanted to talk about an African who not only stood up to Spanish slavers, but he was ultimately successful in creating a sovereign region, defeating them at every turn. What up, African world? It's Home Team here, and welcome back to another video of African history, culture, and worldview. By supporting this channel on Patreon, you're helping in the creation of these videos and supporting this content. If you'd like access to full courses and sources, or you simply want to show your support, you may do so by clicking the Patreon link in the description box below. It's unfortunate that this man is not more well known in the African diaspora. In fact, many people don't even know that enslaved Africans were also in the region he was taken. Today, we'll be talking about Gaspar Yanga and how he formed a maroon community of former enslaved Africans in Mexico. The significance of this is that we only know of one successful rebellion of enslaved Africans in Haiti, which went on to form a lasting state. But we don't know that another successful rebellion took place centuries before Haiti in Mexico. The story of Gaspar Yanga is a pride to people of African descent all around the world. How he was able to form a sovereign region within Mexico during the height of Spanish power in the 16th century is absolutely remarkable. The state of Veracruz, Mexico is known for its beauty and its very large concentration of Afro-Mexicans. The state contains a hidden jewel, a city that is both important to Mexican and African diaspora history. Yanga, affectionately called the Cradle of Liberty, is considered to be the oldest free black town in the Americas. Located in the eastern part of the state, the city of Yanga was also among the first independent towns to be formed in Mexico. It was established as a free black town on January 6, 1609. The town was originally named San Lorenzo de los Negros in honor of the saint who devoted his life to uplifting peoples of African descent and other oppressed peoples. Its name was later changed to San Lorenzo Saravalvo and finally Yanga in 1932, and we have the hero Gaspar Yanga to thank for that. The story of Gaspar Yanga begins in the 16th century when the enslavement of Africans by the Spanish was in its beginning stages. Gaspar Yanga was reportedly descended from a royal family in the Central African country of Gabon. He was brought to Mexico sometime in the mid to late 16th century and immediately began planning a revolt. One can only imagine that his royal status influenced his decision to seek freedom. Gaspar's righteous rebellion began in Veracruz, Mexico in 1570. The enormous mountain peaks behind the Veracruz lowlands became the home of both African and Indian Maroons in that time period. Established in Orizaba, the Maroon settlement had 60 dwellings with 80 men and more than 24 women and several children. The settlement survived by raiding provisions from the passing Spanish caravans, but they also farmed and raised livestock. What I find interesting is that Gaspar Yanga, with his knowledge of African statehood, formed and organized his new settlement based on his Central African government back home. The system was no doubt hierarchical. It concerned itself with self-defense and retaliation. The Maroons planted corn, squash, tobacco, and other crops in large fields. They also maintained animal husbandry for meat. The settlement continued to grow as more and more Africans were inspired by their hero. Gaspar Yanga had firmly led and established a new settlement in Mexico, and the Africans in the region honored him greatly in their loyalty to him and the settlement. As Yanga grew older, he gave military control to his Angolan war captain, Francisco de la Matiza. Yanga handled the everyday affairs of the town and took on the role of religious leader, retaining some of his own religious tradition from Gabon. The town entered a period of unrest when Yanga had a Spanish captive write and deliver a letter to his pursuers. In the letter, Yanga condemned the Spaniards for their cruelty and their cowardice, and dared them to defeat him. The released captive, knowing the location of the settlement, led the Spaniards to the colony. Along with his general, Gaspar's military prowess was undeniable. After 9 years of intermittent battle, the Spaniards were unsuccessful in capturing him and his men, but more importantly, they were unsuccessful in laying to waste his settlement. The Spaniards even attempted to starve out the settlement by targeting crops and water supply, but the Africans and their native allies moved deeper into the forest. In the end, Gaspar was able to form and sign a very favorable treaty with the Spanish. Perhaps due to a combination of lacking funds and the military acumen of Gaspar's jungle warfare, the Spanish ultimately decided to accept the sovereignty of his maroon settlement. This was a pretty momentous occasion in history because it had never been done in the Americas. It was the first time a European power submitted in full to the objectives of an African in the New World. The Spanish recognized, sanctioned, and guaranteed Gaspar's territory by law. Today, over 20,000 people reside in the city of Yanga, and a larger-than-life statue of the great liberator Gaspar Yanga stands today in Mexico. Gaspar Yanga's determination for freedom really reveals the importance of knowing who you are and your value. His royal status in Africa, accompanied by his knowledge of self, could not be undone by the perils of the gun or the sword. Well, I'm all out, guys. If you like these videos and want to help in its continued production, consider supporting the home team on patreon.com. The link is in the description box below. Know thyself, remember your ancestors. Peace.